All those stars out there, how can I tell it's a star, a planet, an airplane, maybe a UFO? I don't know. Hello, everybody. Welcome as the American Space Museum brings you Star Curious on Stay Curious every Mondays with me. I'm Stargazer Mark, and we're here, and you can see a lot. You'll be surprised at the bright, sometimes moving objects that you see could be a satellite 100 miles high. How do you know it's a satellite and not an airplane flying overhead, going to Miami or something from down here? Well, I'm going to explain that a little bit. If you keep looking up long enough in your backyard, you're bound to see a meteor or two. We don't know exactly when meteors they're unpredictable, except, of course, meteor showers are predictable, not the instant when they're going to burn up in front of your eyes. And most things you see burn up as a meteor are the size of a grain of sand or smaller. So, well, we're out here in my backyard here, keeping a little bit warm on a hopefully one of the last cool nights of the winter, as we're looking forward to the spring equinox here in about 4 weeks. And of course, you look with your red light, your red flashlight there, to look at your star chart so you don't contract your pupils, so they're all dilated out to look at the night sky. But a lot of us are using what I've got behind me here on the green screen, smartphone apps. Here's my smartphone app. I use Stellarium, and I'm on the constellation Orion right there. So we're going to talk about a few smartphone apps and how to maximize your backyard stargazing with them. Want to thank everyone for watching on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and Spotify. And thank Marty Winkle for being behind the controls here of our Streamlabs. We had a few hiccups, so thank you for staying with us and joining us, as you all get an alert when we do go live, and we appreciate that. Tell your friends to like us, share us, follow us, or subscribe to us, as it's important to our nonprofit to reach out to you all. And once a week, we do stargazing, backyard style, nothing too complicated. We want to emphasize that the stars are there for you to enjoy. No one owns the original, all right? You can do anything you want with those stars in your backyard. Photograph them, draw them, make a poem about them, write a book about them. Nobody says you can't, because they are completely, the domain of the universe is yours. And I find that exciting. Some stars are twinkling. The stars are twinkling because they're a single point of light. But once in a while you'll see a star that doesn't appear to twinkle much. And the twinkling, of course, is caused by the refraction in our dense atmosphere of the Earth. But those that this light is kind of steady usually are planets, because they're reflected light, not a single point source. And the reflected light has different physical properties as it passes through our atmosphere. But we're going to look at a couple smartphone apps here, remind you to everyone, maybe you all have a smartphone if you've been around someone who does have one. At our star parties, we see people pulling them out all the time to check their constellations and learn how to use them. Even in today's world, you can control a telescope with your smartphone or smart tablet. Absolutely. Well, here's a beautiful graphic. That's actually the Big Dipper, the handle of the Big Dipper, about way it is about at sunset. And the Big Dipper is moving around the pole star Polaris and standing on its end about 11 o'clock midnight in the east. So we're going to be seeing more of the Big Dipper as the days roll on here. But what's exciting is to see satellites in the International Space Station from your own backyard. But let's keep in mind when we talk about things, and our smart apps talk about the International Space Station will go within 5 degrees of the Big Dipper's handle, or within 10 degrees of the planet Jupiter in the morning. And here, your arm fully outstretched, your fist is about 20 degrees, okay? And as you see, the Big Dipper that many of us are familiar with, 10 degrees is the bowl, okay? And 5 degrees is 3 fingers, okay? So about like that would be the bowl. And this is a human outstretched hand. Your little finger is 1 degree across, all right? So 10 degrees for your clenched fist, all right? And to span your whole hand from thumb to Pinky is about 20 degrees, or about the distance of the entire Big Dipper, which is not a constellation, it's an asterism, as we call them. And I'm going to take my little sweat. It's not as cool out as I thought here in our Stay Curious studios. So keep those in mind. Now, we're going to talk a little later about how to identify that light in the sky, all right? And the first thing you look at, is it burning your eyes? If it is, you're probably looking at the sun or the moon on the left there. But if it's moving, all right, then there's a way that we'll talk about to kind of troubleshoot what exactly you're looking at. And what I look for when I'm looking at an object, wondering, gee, I know it's not the International Space Station because I have an app for that to give me an alert when it's overhead, day or night. But I also have an app that tells me about satellites. So you can always backtrack and see the satellites on there. All kinds of applications out there that you can enjoy. This one is Google. That's Sky Maps for Google. Some of you all have that on your phone. Stellarium is the one I use, like aquarium, stellar, aquarium, stellarium. Some of these are also, you can put on your, as a planetarium program on your desktop if you have one, or your laptop. The night sky is a very popular one for you. Use Apple products, okay, out there. And they will superimpose, like this illustration, the constellation mythological creature on there. There you see the Big Dipper on the right, Orion, the hunter with his sword and shield. And it's directly south at about 9 o'clock tonight. And then the great Pegasus, the flying horse. Sky Safari is also a very popular one. Sky Safari offers a pro version like a lot of them. So whether it's Android or your iOS system, you can usually find a free program. But then the pro version for a couple bucks extra will give you satellite predictions. It'll give you the latest satellite tracking of the Starlink satellites that were launched this morning here off of our Space Coast. Marty and I enjoyed watching that beautiful morning launch without school. There was 150 people or so over at Spaceview Park enjoying what I'm sure many of them is their first rocket launch. But so there's pro versions that can upgrade things and tell you specific things like a comet that reappears in the sky. And that might not be on the free software of a smart tablet program, but it'll be on the pro versions. Here's what one of these screens look like. This is 3 different screens where it'll show you the constellation, give you some names of the stars, okay, and also give you some well-known, easy-to-find deep sky objects is what astronomers call them. Deep sky objects, or faint fuzzies is what we also call them, because that's what they look like in your telescope, whether it's a galaxy or a cluster of stars or a nebula. They all pretty much like gray faint fuzzies with different shapes. Only through photography do you see the spiral nature of M101 there in the middle, which is a real cool galaxy that we show people in a telescope. You can see the spiral nature of it in a telescope, but you don't see the colors. Let me have a little rocket fuel here, Marty, to keep me going. All right, we've got also, this show is an illustration of what is called the Horsehead Nebula there to the right of the crosshairs. This is in Orion the Hunter. You really can't see it with your eyes. You need a big telescope if you could see it, like a 20-inch reflector. I've seen it in a 36-inch reflector with my eyes, and that was hard to see. But it's a target of astrophotographers that would line it up like this, and they can control their telescope and everything with it. This is the modern age. You can control your cars, your vehicles, your home, your toaster, your front door. Everything is now controlled right from our little smart tablets. But do yourself a favor and download a program that you can relax in your backyard or go out to the beach where it's a little darker and just look around and revel at the same stars that all humans that have been on Earth have looked at. The very same stars. They have not changed since when Cleopatra looked at them, or or the cavemen of 5,000 years ago, or the civilizations of Mesopotamia and Sumeria. 5 objects that moved, and the sun and the moon. 7 objects moved in the sky. Once in a while they'd see a comet, but then just like you, taking time in your backyard to enjoy it, you'll see a meteor occasionally. Some will be brighter than others. The brighter ones are usually a bigger piece of cosmic debris that's just smashing into our Earth's atmosphere. Friction is burning it up, just like heating your hands up, and poof, it turns into light. After all, one of the great physics lessons is that no matter is destroyed. It is just turned into some other form of matter. ISS Detector is another good one that I have downloaded here. I'm going to bring that up if I can there, though it looks like the screen here. The ISS Detector gives you so much more. I've downloaded that on my Android here. It gives me the sunrise. It was 6:54 a.m. today. Sunset 6:17 p.m. All right, we're almost equal day and equal night, and that is the spring equinox. September 21st is when we will have about the sun will rise probably about 6:30 instead of about 6:30 here in about a month. But it also tells me when Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, and the Starlink group of satellites comes over. And when you look at it, you get an app like at the object on the left. This is 3 different screens of your app. So it shows you that the International Space Station is coming over. It's going to be -3 magnitude, which is very bright. And you see it going from the north down to the south on there. And they usually have the other cardinal points on there. Or you look at it like the star background there. So if you see the moon in the sky, like is in the right there, you see where it moves in relationship to the Earth, the International Space Station. Yeah, Marty?
You said September. I think you meant March.
March. I say September. I'm thinking of the autumn equinox, not the March equinox. Yes. Thank you, Marty. Around March 20, could be March 22nd this year when we celebrate the first day of spring. But so very informative. A lot of these applications, you can get all kinds of information. You can even scroll ahead like I am right now. Whoop, I'm sorry I banged into the mic. If you wanted to know, say you want to do a photograph of sunrise down here March 8th, and I'm looking at sunrise is 6:39, sunset is 6:26. All right, so to plan your evenings and plan maybe getting that wonderful, spectacular sunrise over the ocean around here. So this is, again, what they call ISS Detector, all right? And it tells you when the shuttle's coming over, when Starlink satellites are coming over, when the Hubble telescope is on here, all right? In fact, I think I'm going to look at another one here. So we're talking about apps that you can have in your pocket, just like a computer to show you what's going on in the night sky. But then another app that you can download that will show you even more things is heaven. If your fingers are 20 degrees, okay, you're going to see that easy enough. But on the 22nd and the 23rd, it's just skirting above the horizon there, because it only gets up at the highest point, the middle column, 15 degrees and 16 degrees. So thought I'd share that with you. I go to this site frequently to things going overhead. And hey, get the kids involved in this, okay? They love their, with your responsibility to, let them see what they can see online. But these are harmless sites, and they can find things on their own. And like I said, they tell you when the planets are rising and up in the sky. Well, how do we identify that light in the sky? All right. So I'm in my backyard, and I'm doing a little stargazing around. I'm looking at the Pleiades, 7 clusters, look so beautiful in binoculars. And I put my glasses, and I see something moving across the sky. And it's just moving steadily across the sky. Well, the first thing I'm going to look at is it twinkling? If it's twinkling, it's probably a star. But if it's not twinkling and it's moving a little bit, all right, the first thing you're going to look at, are there any blinking lights on it? That's the universal code. There's also universal lights on a watercraft, okay? A red light and a green light. So you have to have these to be legal. So you're looking, is there any blinking lights on it? Now, over here in Titusville, we've got several airports around us, and particularly when we're looking to the south, which in our case would be Cocoa Village in of course, Melbourne, further south. Some of these airplanes going into way far away, going into Orlando, look like they're not moving, and you'll see 2 or 3 bright lights in the sky, and they just barely moving. But those you'll figure out are airplanes. Now, if it's kind of fuzzy and it's not moving, it could be a comet. So you'd want to refer to your app and see if, or Google if there's any comets visible, or, of course, go back and watch Stay Star Curious episode, because we'll be telling you any comets that are up. Is it attached to a boat? Okay, that could be a masthead light. All right. Is there anything blinking? If it's blinking, it's going to be an aircraft. All right. If it's not blinking and moving pretty steadily, all right, and not going left or right or anything like that, it could be the International Space Station or an artificial satellite. And you're going to see a lot of satellites, particularly if you get to a dark area like when you're camping out and you get away from that campfire. You'll be amazed at all of the real faint, at the edge of which you could see satellites that are moving. Now, most of them are moving from the west to the east, okay? But ones that are going north and south, or south and north, are probably spy satellites, because as they go 90 minutes around the Earth or longer, depending on how high up they are, the Earth is turning beneath them. So it's easy for a spy satellite going north and south to move over an area of the Earth as the Earth turns below them. It takes more fuel if they're going around the equator to go higher or lower or over different areas. But this is the spy versus spy that we play in space with our adversaries, as everyone's trying to trick each other about what's up in the sky, and we have a lot of top secret missions launched from here that are protecting our country. But you just be amazed, I suppose, at the amount of surveillance going on from space up there. So a planet is going to be probably a Jupiter looks definitely goldish. Saturn looks yellowish. Mars has got a reddish color. Venus is pearly white. Venus will be the brightest object in the sky outside the sun and the moon, and that is in the morning sky. It rises before the sun now, so you early risers getting out jogging, biking, going to the gym, you look to the east, that bright star's Venus. Remember, we were seeing Venus Christmas time in all fall. Well, it moves around the sun in between us and the Earth, so it's up and down, morning and evening, as it does its 200-day year around the sun. So anyway, a little way to identify things in the sky. I'm always looking at things in the sky and wondering first, okay, could that be a satellite? The bright satellites are always going to be the space station, the Hubble telescope, and anything launched early. But now, I've not seen these Starlink satellites very well, but the Starlink satellites, you're going to see a bunch of them at once after they're launched. All right, you'll see them for a week or so. The Starlink satellites launched today go up to about an 80 to 100-mile orbit, and then there's ion thrusters, very efficient way to move objects. It's just a stream of ions that pushes them up to their orbit of about 350 miles high. So the SpaceX is building their second shell of these communication satellites. We saw a beautiful launch today going directly south almost, Marty, up and south. And so we'll be watching these launches probably 2 or 3 a month now. So come on down and check them out. They're fun to watch here, particularly from Space View Park. We've got our self-proclaimed rocket hobo, Ozzy's over there. Ozzy Osbourne, he's given a good talk to everybody about what's happening And so I'm going to get ready and go back outside and do some more stargazing with my app here. Check out a few faint fuzzies with my binoculars and hope that you all do the same, okay? We thank Ophelia Sauterels watching in Normandy, France. Professor Keith Sowell, he's got an astronomy group of his own that he's teaching at the local college here. Hi, Robert Law and Mark Usiak. Cliff Watson, my buddy down there, down under in Pomona, Australia. And, of course, we got Christopher Mick and Dave Stang. We appreciate your nice comments watching our diversity program Saturday. And we're getting some mention, Marty says, from Asians, but we cannot interpret their names, particularly the Chinese symbols. We're not up to that yet. We're just barely learning Streamlabs, Marty.
Some look like Iranian or Afghanistan.
Okay, and we've got some Iranians, Afghanistan. We've got the gentleman, Miguel, is in Colombia. He watches our show a lot. Christy Welk. And hi to Pam Shivik. Pam does a lot of great outreach with the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. ALPO is their acronym, just like the dog food. And Pam, thank you for all you do for outreach, and we can't wait to see you and your husband back here on the Space Coast sometime soon. So we love everybody that's watching our Stay Curious program. Thank you for hanging in there. We will have a program whether we're late or not, but sometimes we have some hiccups, and we appreciate you all bearing with us there. Also, I've got my red flashlight. These apps also go to a red screen, all right? That would be a question you would want. You're ruining your eyesight looking at this. No, there is a red screen app on all of these that you can go in there and make the screen red so that it is effective. I'm looking. There it is, night mode. I go to night mode, and there it is. It's in red. And that's what you want to do is find a night mode on your app so you don't ruin your eyesight. So I'm going to get back out there, and I'm going to look around at Perseus and see those double cluster up there, all right? So everybody, we can't wait to have another week of Stay Curious programs for you. We got 3 interviews this week, so check those out on Facebook on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So until then, I'm Mark Marquette with Marty Winkle here helping me. We're so glad you are with us to bridge the space between us. Oh yeah, there's that double cluster.